You think heartbreak hurts? Try watching your credit score collapse overnight. Try getting a call from the bank asking why you just bought a boat in Florida when you've never even been to Florida. Try opening a letter that says you defaulted on a loan you never signed. That's not heartbreak. That's identity theft, wrapped in a pretty smile and sweet lies. Her name was Rachel, and what she did to me wasn't love. It was war. I didn't meet her on Tinder. I met her in person the old-fashioned way. She worked at a small coffee shop 2 blocks from my construction site. I came in every day for black coffee and 5 minutes of silence before chaos. She was warm, friendly, said she liked men who worked with their hands, said I reminded her of her dad. We talked more each week. Then we went out. I should have known something was off when she moved in after 3 months. But I was 42, divorced, and tired of coming home to an empty apartment. She said her landlord was raising rent, that she had nowhere else to go. She said, "You make me feel safe." That line, it hooked me. Then came the first request, small, harmless. "Babe, can I order something on your Amazon? I'll pay you back next week." Then another. "I need a new phone. Mine's broken, but I can't qualify for a plan. Can you co-sign?" Then another. "I applied for a credit card to help cover groceries. Can I use your address so it looks more stable?" Every step was a brick in a trap I didn't see, and I thinking I was building love laid each brick myself. Until one day, I got a letter. Then a second, then a third. All debt, all in my name. My bank account, almost drained. My credit, shot to hell. And the woman I thought I loved, she wasn't even hiding it. When I confronted her, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "You gave it all to me. Don't blame me because you were stupid enough to trust me." That was when something inside me snapped. She thought I'd cry. She thought I'd crawl away. But she forgot one thing. I wasn't just a man she used. I was a man who knew the system. And now, I was going to use the law to destroy her. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I didn't even tell her to leave. That night, after Rachel laughed in my face and called me a fool, I simply said, "I'll handle it." And she smirked, like I'd already lost. But inside, I was already planning. First, I started digging. Quietly, I pulled my full credit report, line by line. There were 6 open accounts I didn't authorize, 3 credit cards, 1 personal loan, a PayPal line of credit, and worst of Allah, $28,000 vehicle loan under my name. She'd opened that one just a week before, using my driver's license, my social security number, and a forged signature. Next, I dug through my home network logs. I'm not a tech genius, but I'd once installed security cameras in my apartment after a break-in 2 years ago. One of them still worked, a small one hidden in the living room smoke detector. And thank God for that. Because on one recording from 2 months back, I watched Rachel sitting at my desk, digging through my file drawer. She pulled out a folder with my tax documents and snapped photos with her phone. The footage was blurry, but enough to prove access and intent. I backed up the video, saved every financial record I had, and made copies. Then I called my friend Marcus, a criminal defense attorney I'd worked construction jobs with in the past. I told him everything. He didn't laugh. He didn't say, "I told you so." He just said, "Get everything in writing, and stop talking to her." So I did. I stopped speaking to Rachel altogether. I didn't tell her I knew. I didn't let on. I was building a case. I let her believe I was broken, that she'd won. Meanwhile, I opened a police report for identity theft, submitted sworn affidavits to the banks involved, filed a fraud alert with the credit bureaus, froze every account I had. But the real move came next. With Marcus's help, I filed a civil suit not just for damages, but for malicious fraud, identity theft, and financial abuse. You see, what Rachel didn't know was that in our state, if someone uses a romantic relationship to gain access to financial information under false pretenses, it's considered exploitation, and that carries both civil and criminal consequences. But we weren't done. Marcus advised me to subpoena her phone records and her banking activity. And guess what we found? She had wired thousands of dollars, my dollars, to another man in Arizona, A man listed as T. That's when it all clicked. Rachel wasn't working alone. She was part of a scam, maybe even part of a larger network. But I didn't care about the web. I cared about making sure she paid. Every time she laughed at my trust, every time she used my name, every time she looked me in the eye and lied, and I was getting closer. One afternoon, as Rachel was out, I received a call from the detective assigned to my case. "Mr. Kane," he said, "you're not the first man she's done this to, but you might be the first one who has the receipts." That call? It was the turning point. Because now, it wasn't just personal, it was legal. And Rachel's time was running out. The day we went to court, Rachel walked in like it was a fashion show. Black pencil skirt, white blouse, heels too high for someone facing a lawsuit. She didn't look nervous. She looked smug. Like someone who had seen this before. Like someone who thought she'd walk out with a slap on the wrist and maybe a few tears for sympathy. But this time, she wasn't dealing with just a broken man. She was dealing with a man who came armed with evidence, a lawyer who knew every trick in the book, and a courtroom that didn't care how pretty she looked. The judge was a sharp-eyed woman in her late 60s, the kind who doesn't waste time. She listened as Marcus laid it all out: the forged documents, the unauthorized loans, the hidden transactions, the security footage, the wire transfers to Arizona, and the false address she'd used on multiple forms. Then he dropped the kicker: a sworn affidavit from another man of Rachel's previous victims, who'd seen her face on a dating app and contacted us after hearing whispers of the lawsuit. Same pattern, same tactics, same ending. Rachel's attorney tried to argue mutual consent, that I had given her permission, that she didn't forge anything, that I was just bitter over a breakup and trying to ruin her life. That's when we played the recording. The security footage of her rifling through my tax documents, the timestamp, the way she carefully photographed each page. The courtroom went still. Even her lawyer shifted uncomfortably. Rachel's face? Pale, hands clenched. She didn't look smug anymore. Then came the detective's report, the connections to other financial scams. The text messages we'd subpoenaed from her phone, one in particular, where she messaged T, saying, "He's soft. Got full access now. I'll bleed him dry." That was the final nail. The judge leaned forward and said, "Miss Rachel Monroe, based on the overwhelming evidence and the malicious nature of your actions, I'm ruling in favor of the plaintiff on all counts." She ordered full restitution, every dollar returned, damages for emotional distress, legal fees, and she recommended the district attorney pursue criminal charges for fraud and identity theft. Rachel was speechless. For once, no performance, no lies, no escape. Just the cold realization that the game was over. She looked at me as they took her fingerprints in the hallway. Not with anger, with disbelief. Like she still couldn't process that I, the soft one, had taken her down. I didn't smile. I didn't say a word. I just stood there and watched justice catch up. A few weeks later, I got a check in the mail restitution funds from the court. It wasn't just money. It was a receipt. Proof that I wasn't the fool she thought I was. That I wasn't weak. That I fought back. Hard. People ask me now, would I trust again? Would I date again? Maybe, but not because I need someone to complete me, because I know who I am now. And I know what to watch for. Rachel thought she could use my name, my credit, and my trust like they were nothing. But in the end, it was my name that stood tall in court. And it was her name that got buried in the records of the county courthouse, under fraud, theft, and deception.